So good guys, welcome to the first video in my channel talking about my futures trading journey. So basically, let's call it episode 1 of my futures trading journey. And kind of like in this series, the main idea is going to be just document my entire futures journey, showing you guys how I'm performing on every single week, how long it takes me to start making some payouts from futures prop firms, and just keeping things transparent. If you guys don't know who I am, I've been documenting my Forex swing trading journey for a lot of time already. I've been on YouTube like for this last 1 year, 1.5 years, and I'm currently kind of like pursuing on my Forex side $1 million in funding capital. That's kind of like my goal for 2026. But I'm also trading the futures market right now. So I said, you know what? There are two different scenarios, there are two different trades and two different markets. So let me just document my futures journey as well. So in this video and in this series, I'm going to just document it. I'm going to show you how I'm doing. Of course, I'm going to talk about my strategy, which is a strategy I created myself, which I'm proud of. And it's pretty simple, straightforward, extremely mechanical. So yeah, it's kind of like what's going to be happening in this video. Is going to be extremely raw. I'm going to try to do the least amount of edits to keep things just transparent and you guys to connect with myself. And without further ado, let me just get started. So this is my TradeSync profile, my TradeSync account. Using TradeSync to copy trade every single trade I'm taking. I actually was copy trading, just like literally not copy trading. I was just trading one single account. But the thing is, I actually recently passed 2 funded accounts. So basically my first 2 prop firm, my futures prop firm accounts were passed last week. So this is the first certificate. As you guys can see, a 50K account on Apex. This was passed on February 12th. And then this is the other one, February 13th, another 50K account. So these are the 2 certificates, right? Just recently passed them. And what happened is the following. So this calendar right here that you guys are seeing right now, this is from account number 1. Let's call it account number 1, which is the one that was passed on February 12th. So at the beginning of this month on February, I said, you know what? Let me actually lock in. Let me take things seriously. And I'm going to start trading this in a more professional way. Before I was just over risking. I was literally buying 5 Apex accounts and copy trading every single account and risking like $1,000 per trade. And I blew a couple of accounts, I'm not going to lie. But I said, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I know I have consistency. I know I've built a system based on data that has proven data that it works. Let me just actually execute this in a more conservative way. Let me risk less. Let me just take things slower and focus on the process. I decreased my risk to $500 per trade, aiming for a 1-to-1 risk reward, sometimes extending that 1-to-1 and trailing my stops, but mainly 1-to-1. And that's what I did on February. And with this specific approach, I was able to pass this first account. Let me actually open the trades. Well, actually, before opening the trades, I'm going to talk about this one, like the second account. This one, in the contrary, like on the other side, this was a complete gamble. You guys know, and if you guys know me for a while, I'm extremely transparent. And this was a complete gamble, a 50-50 scenario. I literally used the method on CPI where you place kind of like, I'm gonna attach a video in a second, but where you place kind of like a buy stop and a sell stop, and whoever gets stacked first, then you just full port the entire account until you reach $3,000 and pass the eval. And that's what I did on this specific account, and I passed literally the next day of passing the account properly. So this was kind of like a gift I gave to myself. I just said, you know what? I just recently passed an funded account. Let me just purchase one and let's gamble on CPI. I did, and it played out nicely. I don't recommend doing this. I actually approached things more professional. And that's why before doing that, I proved to myself that I was able to pass an account properly. And that's what I did with the first account. So now I have 2 evals, right? That I'm going to be trading at the same time on my PA. So just kind of like building that threshold or building that buffer before I can actually start making some money and start making some payouts. So that's what I'm going to do. But now let me actually attach the video, because I actually recorded the live trade video and the live trade of my CPI full port the scenario. So let me just attach that real quick and let me know what you guys think.
But jazz is like love. It's something we recognize when we encounter it. It's very hard to define.
It's fun to hear. It's basically a life force.
situations.
So yeah, as you guys can see, and if you noticed on my face, it was my first time doing it, so I was completely like not really used to trading this way. I also accept that my entry was not the best, right? But yeah, at the end, what I was seeing, and the main reason I did it is because I was thinking in ROI. At the end, basically, I purchased this account for like 39 USD, so 39 bucks, and the possible expectancy or the return on investment that I might have if I get to a payout on this account is just extremely ridiculous. Like it's crazy. So I said, you know what, let me just do it for fun, right? If I blow the account and I fail, well, I just blow 39 bucks, right? But if I actually pass the account extremely fast and then I get to a payout, the ROI is going to be just crazy. But now let's actually focus on what really matters, which is the trades I took on February, which thanks to these trades, I was able to pass my first funded account on Apex. So first, on Thursday, February 5th, I took one trade, right? Actually, I took two trades. The first one is this one. So in here, basically, I'm not using like trade seller or anything. I'm kind of like journaling everything in here as well as in here, which by the way, this is incomplete. I'm still kind of like logging each one of my trades on my trading journal, the one I also use on my Forex swing trading approach. I'm starting to log every single one of the trades because I want to measure these things kind of like more properly. But so far, I've kind of like journal everything on Trade Syncer. So this was kind of like my execution. And in here, we can see that I took two trades. The first one, if I open the screenshot, so this was kind of like the trade, and I'm gonna explain how my strategy works in a pretty simple scenario. First, I'm trading the 1 minute time frame. Every single trade I take, it's executed in the 1 minute time frame. Number two, I try to keep things extremely mechanical. So I have three rules. Basically, I entered on fair value gaps, I entered in pending orders or on market order if the trade just presented itself really fast, and I target a one-to-one risk reward. If price reached to my one-to-one risk reward and I want to extend a little bit longer or hold the trade longer, I trail my stop. I don't let price reverse back to my stop loss if it reaches one-to-one. And the way I see things is the following. So in this case here we have NQ, right? So what I do is the following. I base my bias on really simple things. So I, for example, go to the 4 hour usually. And what I do is I mark kind of like some key areas. So my key areas are located like this. So highs, important highs, right? So I just marked by some lines, horizontal lines like this. Then I go, for example, to the 1 hour, right? And I keep kind of like placing some key areas. So in this case, it will be this one. So entering to the fair value gap, the end of the fair value gap. Also, my key areas are based on weeks. So for example, this will be another key area, right? This week right here. And that's kind of like how I mark these things. Then when I go and I keep just going lower to my lower time frames, I just basically wait for price to reach these key areas. And if price reaches these key areas, then I go following the trend and I enter based on the trend. Let's say, for example, if price goes here and it breaks these key areas, I'm not looking to go against the trend, right? In this case, I'm not looking, for example, for inverse for value gaps going, for example, like this, right? Going back. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking is if price breaks these key areas, I expect for price to keep the momentum to the downside. So in this case specifically, I just go to the 1 minute time frame, right? And when price already broke my key area, I just wait for a fair value gap in the move after breaking my key area. So something like this. So let me actually erase this real quick. So we have the key area in here, right? And what I wait is for price to break my key area, leave a fair value gap in here, and I just place my pending order in this area, right? With my stop loss in here, and I wait for price to do this, targeting a one-to-one. I enter the trade and I exit the trade extremely fast and I'm done for the day. That's it. Of course, these are some specific risk management rules for me. I only accept one loss per day. If I lose in one trade, I'm done for the day. I don't take more trades. If I do, I'm disrespecting my rules, right? Number one, if you guys caught me doing that, then I'm using you guys as my accountability partners, right? Number two, if I take the first trade and it's a break even or a win, I'm allowed to take a second trade. That's it. If the second trade is a win, then I'm done for the day. If the second trade is a loss, like a losing trade, I'm done for the day. That's it. So it's pretty simple. I don't overtrade. and I try to keep things the most mechanical way possible. But that's how it works. The other way scenario, if price, let's say for example that price decides to, let's say that this was a key area, right, based on higher time frame. If price decides to do this, right, and it breaks this key area, I'm not expecting for price to retrace. I'm expecting for price to keep the momentum going up. So I'm just waiting for a retracement to a fair value gap and I enter longs in there. That's my exact strategy. There's another type of setup that I usually kind of like use more kind of like in a discretionary way where I'm targeting my key areas. Let's say, for example, if at the beginning of the session, I expect for price, or my bias is super clear that price is going to take this key area right here. So this line, let me draw it again. So price, I expect for price to basically take this high and price starts to go up like this, right? I entered following the model. Just so you guys know, this model was called, or this setup or this system strategy was called by myself the flow model because of that, because I'm following the flow, I'm following the trend. So in this case, if this is my target, I just wait for a fair value gap and I enter, boom, like that. Simple as that. So I'm only entering following the trend or kind of like targeting my key areas. Okay, so now that we covered kind of like how my strategy works, because I've received multiple DMs of people asking, yo, what's my strategy? I hope it was clear. If not, let me know. I'll do a more in detail video later on. But basically, the first setup was this. This was my target. So you guys can see here's my target. So this is the second type of setup I explained. My target is clear. So I target those highs or those lows in this case. This was a high. And I enter in this fair value gap targeting that, right? Then this key area was broken, right? So when it was broken, my key area was broken, then another setup gets kind of like activated when this fair value gap is left behind. I entered in this second position because my first position was a take profit. I'm allowed to take a second trade and I enter longs targeting just the trend, right? So these were two take profits, which by the way, this second take profit, the reason why I didn't kind of like finish this session in more profit is because the second trade I got stopped out like sorry, not got stopped out. I actually closed the trade earlier. I wasn't able to hold the trade longer for my full take profit. It was a mistake, my bad. But of course, just keeping things transparent. That's why I didn't kind of like made more money in this position. Then we have on Friday, I took one trade. So in this case, if we open the screenshot, same thing. This was targeting my target, which was this one. This was a key area in higher time frames. I saw this trade, I entered longs, and I got basically closed the position in 1-to-1. I didn't want to take more trades that day, so that's why I only took one position that morning. Then we have on, so this first week of February, I basically finished in around 2R in profit. So basically almost $1,000 in profit. It's not my money. You guys know how evils work, right? Then on Monday, I took two trades. The first trade, they were actually two wins. The first trade was targeting my target, right? I know it sounds funny, but it's the flow model, right? I was having this as my clear bullish kind of like, I think it's buy side or sell side. I don't know how ICT traders call it, but I was targeting this specific target. I had a nice position. I entered this fair value gap targeting this high, and it worked perfectly for a 1-to-1. And then later on, I had this position after my target was broken, right? This was another key area. This was a second target I had for the session. I just targeted that high. I'm gonna literally say the word target like thousands of times this video, but it is just what it is, this fair value gap, and I just target a 1-to-1 risk reward, right? Simple, straightforward. Then, so that day we finished in 881. Then on Tuesday, I only took, I think one trade, yeah, two trades, right? I think one was break even, if I'm not wrong. Let me see. It was a break even, yeah. So this trade, yeah, this was a break even. Very unfortunate. This was a key area that was broken. You guys can see that after price immediately broke this low, it left a fair value gap. I immediately entered in that fair value gap. Price had a nice rejection, really close to my entry. But of course, because it was really close, I didn't want for price to just reach my entire stop loss, so I got stopped out at break even. And then, as you guys can see, it's a really quick strategy. So I trail my stops fast and I just leave money out of the table really fast. Like I just protect my capital extremely simple and extremely fast. And this one, this was my target. So I targeted the high, and this was a clear fair value gap targeting a 1-to-1 risk reward. Perfect setup. So one break even, one take profit. And then the last trade was on Wednesday, which by the way was clearly like a nice opportunity. So this fair value gap here, this was my target for the session, right? I targeted this highs, price immediately rejected, and I got kind of like a nice one-to-one risk to reward. And this was a super bearish day, if I'm not wrong. We kept going down and down and down. So I kind of like took one of the first movements, like bearish movements of the day. So it was pretty nice to kind of like capitalize on this position. And finally, I just realized that the trade on Thursday, the trade that literally made me pass my first funded account. Wait, where is it? My first funded account on Apex, right? It didn't like it wasn't journaled, and I remember why, because my subscription on TradeSyncer expired that day, and I didn't want to kind of like pay more because I was just gonna trade one single account. That was of course before I passed my second eval. Now I had to pay again because I'm gonna be copy trading two accounts. So I'm 100% sure, if I'm not wrong, that on Thursday my account or my subscription got expired. So that's why this trade wasn't locked. But I actually just placed the screenshot of the trade that helped me pass my first eval, which by the way, this is not the most high quality setup to be honest, but same rules were in place. My target was this. We're completely bearish, by the way. I actually missed this first entry. You guys can see my target was here. Like this line was my target for the session. This was my entry with this fair value gap in there. I missed out. I actually was a little bit nervous because it was my first funded account and I just needed like less than 1 hour, so less than a one-to-one risk reward to pass my first eval. But in this case, I saw a clear reversal opportunity. This was my target. So I said, you know what? I have a flow model entry in here. So again, flow model as my strategy. I enter in this fair value gap, targeting a one-to-one risk reward, less than a one-to-one actually, just targeting this high. So when price immediately broke this high, I closed manually and I was able to reach the profit target of $3,000. So that was the last trade, the trade that helped me pass my first funded account, which is the one I'm proud of. I'm not proud about this one. I'm not gonna like the second one passed on February 13th. I'm not proud of because it's a gamble. I'm proud of this one that proves to myself that I was able to pass an account, an eval, consistently executing my system. So yes, guys, I think that's all for this video. Now I have this new account. So I'm gonna actually open my TradeAway. So I have my two PAs, so my two funded accounts. The first one and the second one, these two are going to be traded at the same time, risking $250 per trade so that I can consistently and slowly build the buffer. Also, learn how to actually trade a funded account, manage my emotions way better, and just build consistency and professionalism. I'm new to the futures market. I started trading the futures market on this year, like 2026. So I'm new. I don't want to rush the process. I want to take things slowly and just build this buffer until I'm actually able to withdraw my first payouts in here. So yes, guys, that was basically all for the video. I'm going to start trading them tomorrow, starting tomorrow, Tuesday, February 17th. I didn't trade today. It was a bank holiday. So that's all for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this futures series or this futures trading journey episodes. And I'll see you guys on episode 2. Take care.